Hey there and welcome back to Rimworld. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of Rimworld Odyssey with the spacefaring Stars of Som. Last time we left off after landing in the lava fields biome for the first time. However, a small adventuring party took our shuttle and quickly left the place behind, venturing into an underground cave system in search of another gravcore. Now, we found that gravcore, as well as the insects protecting it, and they were led by a dangerous Hive Queen. Against all odds, we then managed to not only down her in combat, but also to successfully tame her, and so we now have Blubber here in our ranks, who actually also has access to an ability that we'll talk more about in just a second. For now it's time to accept this quest right here. A 28-year-old space marine is begging to join our crew, and since we can easily avoid the two raids that will follow him by lifting off with our gravship, I see no harm in taking him in. As he arrives, the first thing we need to do, of course, is to give him a new name. From now on, he will go by Nick, after Patreon supporter Nick O'Neill. Now, I have to admit, greedy, pessimist and nudist, that is not exactly the most exciting trait combination. I'm afraid that mood management will definitely be an issue with Nick here, who, apart from fighting, also doesn't do anything else particularly well. In addition, he's also got an aching wound on his right shoulder. The pain from that will further lower his mood, so even though he equips some clothing here as he arrives, I'm not entirely sure yet whether or not we can allow that long term. The plus 20 mood bonus from being a naked nudist might just be needed to keep this guy happy. As Nick then immediately makes himself useful smelting some steel, we have a threat incoming. It is yet another mech cluster, and thankfully another dormant one, centered around a psychic suppressor that won't go active for another 6 days. Considering that the two raids that will follow Nick are incoming in about 20 hours, we will be long gone by then. As you can see, our latest recruit has also already stripped naked again. It became very obvious very quickly that otherwise we would not be able to keep him from constantly suffering mental breaks. Now, I also promised to talk a bit more about our Hive Queen Blubber, specifically about her X-Pew ability. Technically meant as a ranged attack, this is actually a very potent food source, as destroying the egg sac of a tamed Hive Queen spawns a tamed larva. And this larva can be slaughtered just like any other tamed animal, and while we can use this X-Spew ability on command with a cooldown of 2 hours, the Hive Queen will also randomly spew out additional egg sacs from time to time. Butchering a larva then yields around 30 units of insect meat. I think you can see how this has the potential to produce a decent amount of food very quickly. Alternatively, it can of course also be used to raise a small larva army. The only downside is that the insect sludge around the egg is not particularly nice to look at, so ideally we do not use this ability inside of our gravship. At this point, we are then also presented with yet another opportunity to collect a gravcore, this one located on a mechanoid platform in orbit. If we zoom back down onto the planet's surface, we can see that our settlement is a bit further to the north, but considering the Heezus range, this platform should still be in reach, although our first destination for today will be a different one. While young Furion then patches up Blubber's remaining injuries, a new Boomalope is born, and continuing our theme of slightly threatening names, we'll name this one Prodigy Killer, once more after the Patreon supporter of the same name. Afterwards then, it's time to lock in our next travel destination. We will now agree to take out an Itakin pirate camp, and will do so in exchange for an excellent quality marine helmet. We now have a capable fighter in our ranks who could use it. Now, unfortunately, this camp is located in the middle of the extreme desert, but hopefully we won't have to stay long enough for that to become a problem. Before we now lift off, we flick our 2 turret switches and enable the Heezus full firepower, so that in just a few moments we'll be coming in hot. However, as we wait for the last few stragglers here to board, it looks like we won't be launching just yet, and that's not because the Itakin pirates hunting Nick have arrived. Looking at the size of the group that has just landed in only one of the 2 drop pod attacks, we should probably get out of here sooner rather than later. No, the real reason is the trade ship here passing by. However, just as I went to cancel the launch procedure, the second group of raiders hunting Nick arrives, a casual 300 to 400 tribals maybe. Let's quickly complete this trade before my CPU goes up in flames. It is then also not the most exciting one. We're just selling some of the drugs we raided from that underground stockpile a few episodes ago, and while our pawns run out to grab the silver, we can now watch some of the carnage that has unfolded. A few hundred impids fighting a horde of heavily armed Itakin. From the looks of it, their arsenal included several doomsday rocket launchers. Now, since both groups ended up decimating each other with few survivors, we can now quickly run in to scavenge some of the more precious loot, some medicine, a triple rocket launcher, and a doomsday for ourselves. The second group of pirates, by the way, has not yet made a move. That changes just a few moments later, but it's all a little too late. At this point, all of the treasures are safely secured, and so, fleeing from one fight, we can now fly straight into another. So here we are, having landed as close to the pirate camp as possible. Unfortunately, thanks to a steam geyser and some ruins nearby, I couldn't really find a better firing angle. In terms of enemies then, we're dealing with well-equipped Itakin accompanied by wargs. There are just 16 of them in total though, so I hope that this won't be too difficult. In order to start things off with a bang, we send in young cats equipped with the triple rocket launcher we just looted. At this point, our enemies are already underway, but we still managed to take out 2 of them. The pirates also seem to be learning quickly that a frontal assault does not offer great chances of success, so we decide to meet them head-on. The wargs here make for easy targets, and we have our 2 Thrumbos, Terror Kittens and Felix with us. I think that should be enough, even if things do get a bit hectic here. And there we go. With the death of yet another warg, our enemies break and flee. We won't go to terrible lengths to hunt down the survivors. Our payment has already arrived, and that is mostly all we care about. From this point onwards then, our stay here on this map mostly becomes about managing our remaining time in the desert. We send Saber out to explore the enemy camp, but as you can see, there's really not a lot here. While she ventures deeper into the mountain then, we also finish the research of cryptosleep caskets. We'll pick a new project in just a second. For now, let us finish the tour, which once again does not yield much. A few hours later then, you can see our pawns load up the shuttle. We need to clear some space inside of our storage room, so Reno will go on a short trade journey. There's a friendly settlement not too far away that we can fly over to, and in exchange for plenty of furs and leathers and old clothing items, we can purchase a good quality beam repeater, one of the new types of weapons added with the Odyssey expansion, a very powerful automatic weapon that can penetrate shields. After the shuttle's return, we give the weapon to Nick and let him try it out on a lone vulture, with devastating results. Overall though, the weapon is probably better used against smaller groups of enemies. Against single targets, I would recommend something a bit more accurate. Apart from that, the night remains uneventful. Saber has found a small component vein near the landing site, and with cryptosleep caskets now unlocked and the first beam weapon already in our possession, let us get access to them permanently. Worth 4,000 research points, this project could take a while though. On the following day then, it's time for a celestial celebration, a dance party in the desert. Since we are essentially just waiting until we can launch the gravship again, our little crew is not terribly busy at the moment, and so they can let off some steam and hopefully gain a nice mood bonus as a result. And it looks like it's not just the mood that increases, but also the number of pawns in our ranks. A female herbalist has heard the noise and wants to join us now, and of course we will accept her. Now, first things first, she too obviously needs a new name, and once again, chosen from the list of channel supporters in the naming rights tier and above, we say hello to Zero. Tough and psychically deaf, not the worst trait combination. Skill-wise, plants and medical are her strong suits. Unfortunately though, she's also a luciferium addict, and comes with a few other health conditions on top of it. Nonetheless, we will allow her to settle in. We do have 10 units of luciferium also still stockpiled, and the stuff can also be found relatively often in ruins or ancient dangers. At this point then, we are ready for yet another gravship launch, and we won't be done hunting for gravcores anytime soon. As you can see here, there's 2 in a roughly southwestern direction of our current location. So let us fly south. This spot right here looks intriguing, with cave pools and a hollow. At the very least, it should be easily defensible. So here we are, and you can see it right away. This is in fact an easily defensible landing site. Just one narrow passage leads in and out, and all of the Hise's turrets are currently pointing right at it. Just a few minutes after arriving then, a blind healer approaches, belonging to the Starjack xenotype with passions in construction, cooking and art, and of course also capable of casting the unnatural healing ability, which can cure even the most permanent health conditions. And I'm afraid we have little other choice but to take her in. Rejecting the small withered woman could have consequences that we are not yet prepared for, and well, her healing abilities do sound intriguing. Named after a very fitting Patreon supporter, we therefore now welcome Unwise Elder to the crew. Reno can also immediately try to convert her to the Stars of Som, and well, his social prowess combined with her wimp trait makes that a quick affair. At this point then, we want to prepare for combat, specifically for combat in space. Both of our remaining grav cores lie in the vacuum of orbit, and in order to manufacture gear suited for those conditions, I think it's finally time to construct a fabrication bench. In the middle of the construction process then, our new recruit Zero gets it on with Alex, and not in the kind way. Unsurprisingly, this is a fairly lopsided fight, but it has no clear winner. Eventually, both women end up in the hospital with Furion taking care of them. The fabrication bench, meanwhile, is up and running, and we have Brent go to work right away. His first project will be 2 suits of recon armor. Saber, meanwhile, keeps herself busy mining out more components, and then we have bad news coming in from the hydroponics farm. All of our heal root plants are afflicted with blight, and we are left with no other choice but to cut them down, the entire harvest now going to waste. Afterwards, we can then hopefully get something good by trying the unnatural healing ability on Nick. There is only one injury that can be cured here, an old gunshot wound on his right shoulder, and as you can see, the procedure is a success, and our Space Marine's fighting abilities should therefore improve. As we then chop some wood in the evening, a bulk goods trade caravan stops by. They are tribals unfortunately, so they won't have much to sell that we need. Still, young Furion can unload some furs and leathers, and we grab a few units of dye in return. Furion is then also the first one to notice that outside temperatures have gone below the freezing point. Time to put the heaters back on and to roof over our crops. In these conditions they wouldn't grow an inch anyway. A few hours later then, a gentle snowfall has set in and we receive this quest right here. This time it's a waster pirate camp that we are asked to attack. 22 enemies that could be right on the edge of what we're capable of handling. The rewards are definitely intriguing though, so let me know in the comments what you think we should do here. With the sun rising and temperatures too, we then also remove our roofs again. We will most likely repeat this procedure a few more times throughout our stay. In the evening then we have some visitors, but they have nothing to trade, and as the night sets in, Brent finishes his first suit of handmade recon armor, immediately providing excellent quality, but then again our resident genie has a crafting skill of 18. We are at this point also moving our outfit stands to a more centralized location. We already have 4 full suits of marine armor, although 3 of them are tainted. I think if we can add 2 recon suits and give all of the wearers vac suit helmets, then we should be able to outfit a small squad capable of fighting in vacuum conditions. On the next morning then, it's hunting time. Our animals may be very happy with the constant influx of insect meat that we've been providing. Our colonists, on the other hand, are not so much, even if it all gets processed into nutrient paste. Brent, meanwhile, has begun work on recon armor suit number 2, while the rest of our crew goes to town on the local flora. After all, we always need chem fuel, and lots of it. Otherwise, things remain rather unexciting, which I guess is good. As the night sets in, Reno loads up Black Shadow, our transport shuttle. Unfortunately though, before it can lift off, we've got another mech cluster incoming. Feels to me like we have already reached that point where mechs are essentially the only type of enemy that Randy ever sends our way. On the plus side, this time they don't spawn on our map, but a few tiles over. Nonetheless, the toxic spewer they have brought with them will cause trouble. So before we have to evac, let's send Reno on a quick trading mission. In exchange for the goods we've brought, we'll then grab two things, a Doomsday rocket launcher and some more plasteel. In my humble opinion, you can never have enough of both. A short while later then, the map is already tinted toxic green as Reno returns. The toxic buildup is still manageable for both colonists and animals, but we should probably not stick around for too much longer. And of course, we have absolutely no intention of taking on the mech cluster, so once more we'll need to find a new home soon. Somewhat quicker than I had expected, we then also unlock beam weapons. I have to say though, both the Grazer as well as the beam repeater fill slightly more niche roles. For a more general purpose weapon, I would probably still prefer charge rifles. Either way, let us quickly knock out a few drug making projects next, as Unwise Elder already advances her art skill to level 6 and finishes her first small jade sculpture. It is only of normal quality for now, but that should increase quickly. The second suit of recon armor, by the way, follows closely behind. Now, at this point then, I think we should set our sights on our next travel destination. If we want to accept the quest that we just received, then that would obviously be our next stop. The quest location here will always be near our current landing site, even if we officially accept the quest from another one. We might also want to take a closer look at which gravcore we actually want to go after, as the one closest to us is located on a heavily defended mechanoid platform. The one further away sits on an abandoned orbital platform, certainly not without its defenses, but probably much less dangerous. At the moment, that would be my preferred destination, and we could either try to beeline straight for it, or pay a quick visit to those waster pirates first. Let me know in the comments how you think we should proceed, and then we'll continue our adventure next week. Until then, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. As always, if you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or become a channel member or Patreon supporter. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.